The population of Uganda has increased by tenfold from the 1960s, thereby creating high pressure on the land. Today, if you looked at the slopes of Mount Elgon, the tree cover has significantly reduced, and there is a mix of agroforestry with coffee, banana, and exotic species. The native trees are facing extinction, thus the need to accelerate afforestation initiatives.
For areas that have coffee, the agroforestry system is above average because coffee is a shade crop. It requires the trees. But not every tree is good for coffee. It has to be an agroforestry tree.
I have observed a number of changes of trees and in species in that. Previously, the trees were very many, and the species where we had a variety of local species. But right now, most of the local species have been cut down, and they have introduced another species which not used to be there previously. But generally, the number of trees have reduced in number, and there are some new species that have been introduced.
I've observed changes. Okay, during those years, we had trees which can be in our garden, but those trees, now we don't have them. Now we have the trees which cannot make our coffee to bear very well. Those trees for those years, they are not here today. They are not in our gardens. So the change of our coffee has changed. We don't yield too much coffee in our gardens because of the trees which we have now.
Yeah, there is a great change because of the increasing population. Where one would own, say, 5 acres of land, you find that a family has about 80 boys, and traditionally that piece of land is apportioned. One has to build there a house. So the land, there is a scarcity of it. When you compare the population and the land acreage, you find that the land is small actually.
Previously, you could get one farmer with a very big piece of land. But right now, farmers now these days, they have just plots. So there's that change. Farmers these days, they have little land compared to the previous farmers. The reason as to why these current farmers have plots is that you get a man has produced like 10 people or 10 children. Now he keeps on dividing the bigger land into 10 people. Now you find that the 10 people get little parts compared to the previous one, which was big for one. The main reason for the changes of trees in number and species, mostly there are like 2 or 3. One, most of them cut down the trees for sale. Then others cut down the trees for fuel. They want to use the trees as wood. Then the third, they have cut down these trees for construction, and they don't plant others. That's why the number has reduced.
The situation is such that these days, as you know, this place has a growing population, and the land has been a bit limited to the extent that people now do not have the independent areas to plant specific things. So we have to integrate all these things on the same piece of land. That is, you need firewood, you need food, you need income, so you can always do all the things on the same piece of land. So it will involve tree planting on the same land, you are doing crop production, you are looking at animals because of limited land. So you are able to have all these benefits on the same piece of land. So it's now being adopted everywhere, in each and every homestead, because we do not have particular areas to do tree planting, we don't have particular areas to do animal farming. So you integrate all these things on the same piece of land. That is what is happening now in the Elgon region.
Some of the indigenous species that we recommend farmers to plant, especially in Mount Elgon region, we have 3 key ones. That is albizia. It is very good in coffee. We have Cordia africana, then Ficus netalensis. But of recent, we are also advocating for fruit trees, like the mangoes, the jackfruit. Though they are not supposed to be planted in the coffee garden, but we are encouraging farmers to have them for purposes of conserving our environment and increasing on food security in the homesteads.
Coffee is grown in some of the most vulnerable areas of the world. And as a professional buyer of coffee, it is very important to us to take care of the natural resources. And with the agroforestry project and the AFPEC project, we are ensuring that it's not a monoculture farming system, that they are building it into the more natural environment with the trees, the multi-crops, and the way they process and protects the land. So hopefully with the documentation we'll find that this is better for the nature, for the people, and for the biodiversity and the resources.
AFPEC aims to document the effects of agroforestry in terms of ecosystem services and livelihood benefits, and its ability to address 2 major global crises of climate change and biodiversity loss, while at the same time providing alternative products. AFPEC also works with local communities to understand what are the motivating factors for farmers to engage in agroforestry, document the effects of indigenous trees in preserving biodiversity like birds and insects, and also the various benefits that the farmers can accrue from instituting agroforestry.